Let's say good afternoon, everyone. This morning we finished section 1 and section 2. So now please move to section 3 and section 4 in this afternoon. Go with me together. Section 1, section 2 already in this morning. In the afternoon we study section 3, symbolic interactionism and deviance. The symbolic interactionist, interactionist the symbolic interactionist perspective yields to theory of deviance. Sociologists believe that deviance is also culturally transmitted. Labeling theory holds that an act is deviant only if other people deem it so. The word symbolic. The word symbolic here it means representative, and the word deviance. Deviance means behavior that depart from societal or group norms. The word symbolic again, symbolic interaction is the theory that there are two. The word interactionism, the theory that there are two entity, minds and body, each of which can have an effect on the other. On the other. Yeah. In here, the word perspective. Perspective is a point of view. A point of view, or you can say perspective. Perspective is a particular attitude towards a way of regarding something. Regarding something. The word yields in here means give or provide. Give or provide. Yields in here yields give two theories of deviance. The first theory of deviance is differential association theory, and the second theory is labeling theory. The first one is differential association theory, and the second one is labeling theory. Both of them we will see in the next slide. Labeling the word cultural transmitted. Cultural transmission means is the process whereby a language is passed on from one generation to the next in a community. Cultural transmitted, or you can say cultural transmission. A cultural transmission is the process whereby a language is passed on from one generation to the next in a community. Labeling theory. Labeling it means assign to a category. What they mean here? Regard or consider in a specified way. Or you can say judge or consider. Judge or consider. Let's move to the theory together. The first theory of deviance is differential association theory. The theory that individuals learn deviance in proportion to the number of deviance acts they are exposed to. Different association theory. The theory that individuals learn deviance in proportion to the number of deviant acts they are exposed to. In here, differential association theory emphasizes the role of primary groups in transmitting deviance. Emphasizes the role of primary group in transmitting deviance. The word emphasize means gives special importance or value to something in speaking or writing. Please move to one more point. Talk about three characteristics of affect differential association. In the differential association theory, there are three characteristic affect. The first one, a person who spends considerable time with deviance is more likely to learn deviant behavior. The word consider characteristic. Characteristic in here means typical of a particular person, place or thing. But in here talk about typical of a particular person. Here talk about person. A person who spend considerable. Considerable it means significant or important time. Considerable time it means significant time or important time. With deviant is more likely to learn deviant behavior. In here example, Mr. A learns deviant behavior from Mr. B if Mr. A spend considerable time. It means if Mr. A spend considerable time or spend significant time with deviant behavior from Mr. B, and Mr. A will learn deviant behavior from Mr. A. Just example. And B, one more. A person is more likely to copy deviant behavior from a significant other than from people less important to him or her. Yeah, in here, I mean, after Mr. A learned from Mr. B about deviant behavior, and then Mr. A copy what Mr. B has. Yeah, what Mr. B has. It's easy, right? When Mr. A learned from Mr. B deviant behavior, and then number two, Mr. A copy what Mr. B has. The third one, younger children learn deviant behavior more quickly than older children. Younger children, it means it opposite with the older children. I mean the how to learn it younger children they get faster than older children. One more point: the second theory of deviance. Second theory of deviance is labeling theories. The labeling theory explains why deviance is relative. Yeah. Explains why deviance is relative. Sometimes if two people break the same norm, sometimes if two people break the same norm, only one may be labeled a deviant. Yeah, the same norm in here mean in the part two society, norm are rules defining appropriate and inappropriate behavior. Yeah, but when in here, if two people break the same norm, maybe in only one in both of them, among of them, they may be labeled a deviant. Labeled a deviant. In here, deviant behavior are always made a matter of social definition. They are relative. Deviant behavior are always a matter of social definition. It means as always as a problem or always as an issue of social definition. They are relative. The word social here means relating to society or its organization. But in here is the definition or explanation of labeling theory. But I would like to tell you one more point. The labeling theory is the theory that society creates deviance by identifying particular members as deviant. Yeah. Let's move to one more point. In labeling theory, there are two parts of deviance. There are two types of deviance in labeling theory. The first one is primary deviance. Second one is secondary deviance. Primary deviance is when a person engage. When a person engage only in isolated act of deviance. The word engage here it means attract or occupy. The word isolated in here means individual action. And one more point about primary deviance is the deviance involving occasional breaking of norms that is not a part of a person's lifestyle or self-concept. That is not a part of person lifestyle or self-concept. The word occasional, it means occurring or appearing. Let's say again, primary deviance is deviance involving occasional breaking of norm that is not a part of person's lifestyle or self-concept. One more point, secondary deviance. Refer to deviance as a lifestyle and as a personal identity. Both of them are different, opposite from primary deviance. The word lifestyle here means the way in which a person lives. And one more point, the personal identity. One more word, personal identity means it's the concept you develop about yourself that evolves over the course of your life. In here is the definition of secondary deviance. One more definition. Secondary deviance is the deviance in which an individual's life and identity are organized around breaking society norms. Here is the secondary deviance. In labeling theory, there are two types of deviance: primary deviance and secondary deviance. And how to move to labeling has negative effect. In labeling theory also has negative effect. Stigma is an undesirable characteristic or label used by others to deny the deviant full social acceptance. Full social acceptance. The word undesirable means unacceptable or unpleasant. 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 A stigma, one more definition, is an undesirable trait or label that is used to characterize an individual. Yeah. The word trait, yeah, undesirable trait means unacceptable characteristic. Yeah, unacceptable characteristic. The word characterize, it means identify or specify. Identify or specify. Yeah, this is a labeling has negative effect. The negative effect of labeling theory is stigma. Stigma. In here is the diagram of major assumption of labeling theory. Please read it one by one. We have here. You can read it by yourself. Section 4. Section 4. Yeah, sorry. Move to section 4. Section 4 talk about conflict theory and deviance. Conflict theory is the perspective in sociology and social psychology that emphasizes a materialist interpretation of history. The conflict perspective look at deviance in terms of social inequality and power. The word inequality means lack of equality or not equal. The word power is ability or capacity. The most powerful member of society determine who is regarded as a deviant. The word conflict theories, regarded is consider. Regarded is consider. One more point. The word conflict theories. Conflict theory means point out the relationship between minority and crime. Minority is the period before attainment of majority, and crime is act committed in violation of the law. The word committed, it means carry out or perform. Carry out or perform. One more point, deviance in industrial society. Deviant industrial society from the conflict perspective. Industrial society in part 2 society. It is a society that depends on science and technology to produce its basic goods and services. From the conflict perspective, deviant in an industrial society is behavior that those in control see as threatening to their interests. Threatening means frightening. One more point. The following are considered deviants in an individual in an industrial society. The following are considered deviant in an industrial society. The first one, critic of an industrial society. It means a person who expresses an unfavorable opinion of something, of someone. Those who will not work, or the criticism who will not work, or the criticism who threaten private property, and the last one, or the criticism who show a lack of respect for authority. The word threaten, it means endanger. Endanger. The word authority, it means the power or right to give order. To give order. One more point. The following is encouraged. The following is encouraged. The following is encouraged. Certain activity such as violence in sport, depending on how well they fit within the industrial society. So the following is encouraged of labeling theory. Certain activities such as violence in sport, depending on how well they fit within the industrial society. And race, ethnicity, and crime. Supporter of the conflict perspectively believe that minority receives unequal, not equal treatment. Treatment means the manner in which someone behaves in the American criminal justice system. The reasons for unequal treatment. The first one, minority generally do not have the economic resources to buy good legal advice. In a reason unequal treatment because a minority do not have enough economic resource to buy good legal advice. And the second one, crimes against white mean white person, right? Against white person tend to be punished more severely than crimes against minority. The word severely means seriously. And the last one, one more point, victim discounting. Victim discounting is the process of reducing the seriousness of the crimes and that injure people of lower status. The word seriousness means significance of the crimes that injure people of lower status. I mean, for the lower status, uh, is maybe has a series of crime than the higher status. White collar crime. White collar crime is any crime committed by respectable and high status people in the course of their occupation. Yeah, white collar crime is talk about the high status people, and victim discounting talk about lower status people. Yeah. In here, so now we finish about section 3 and section 4 in this afternoon. Yeah. So now I have to review again. Section 3. Section 3, we have to talk about differential association theory. Yeah, there are two types of theory: differential association theory and labeling theory. Labeling theory. And the section 4, we talk about the deviant in industrial society and race, ethnicity and crime, ethnicity and crime. And the last one talk about white collar crime. White collar crime. Yeah, let's say goodbye, everyone. Thank you for your paying attention. Please ask me if you have any question.